Welcome to Asset Acquisition Process Descriptions, and thank you for your interest. We hope you'll take time after this short presentation to explore the other Triad Unlimited presentations on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and visit our website to see all our services and training offerings. So let's start with asset acquisition, our first function. And the definition of asset acquisition is simply ensuring that new assets are correctly specified, fully documented, and are maintainable in preparation to realize maximum useful life through asset management processes. Just like every other function, asset acquisition contains 4 processes. The first process is about capital projects, making sure the structure and the processes are defined and are workable within a project. The second process is about asset selection, and that's where we specify the technical information necessary to design, maintain, and operate the asset. Then we move into asset design for reliability, which is working with consideration of asset type history, maintainability, and total cost of ownership. The fourth and final process is about the asset turnover package, where we define the content and the format of information that's provided for asset operation and maintenance. Let's talk about the benefits of asset acquisition processes. When we define the project processes and acquisition project process to align with our asset management concepts, we ensure that those processes can be applied to full advantage. When we establish and enforce the information about assets that requires during the asset project, we make sure that the asset information can be integrated into the asset management program before we go into the operation phase. When we design for maintainability and reliability, we support the goal of lowest total cost of ownership, as we saw in our previous slides. And when we define what the turnover package content has to look like, what it has to contain, we make sure that asset care strategy development is supported by this documented reference library. Process 1 is capital projects methodology. Asset acquisition projects should recognize and honor asset management program processes, specifically how the processes use asset information to develop asset care strategies. Asset information first becomes available during asset acquisition and can begin to be transmitted for the purpose of asset management as soon as the project design phase is finalized. As items are procured and receipt inspected, the early stage information can be reviewed and revised as necessary. It is very important for acquisition projects to implement processes that ensure asset information is available and formatted for use in the asset management processes. Desired functionality should be documented in a user requirement specification called a URS, and asset technical specifications aligned to support desired functions in the functional requirement specification, or FRS. All key stakeholders should be solicited to provide input regarding desired functionality via the URS and FRS documents. Key input is ensuring that asset management processes are supported by specifications for required information from asset documentation and should include maintainability. Project asset information requirements should be clearly specified, and the vendor's ability to comply with specifications should be verified in terms of quality and content in the user requirement specification. How can you know the assets you're acquiring are going to meet your specific needs? Developing a standardized user requirement specification, or URS, is vital toward realizing met needs. All end users and other stakeholders in the organization should have the opportunity to input to the URS. Remember, the more precisely and thoroughly the needs and wants are stated, the closer the end result will be to ideal. Then a URS gets translated into reality by the functional requirement specification, which says how the needs will be met in terms of actual parts, assets, and systems. This is where things get real, because now there exists information about tangible stuff we can work with to begin asset management. Asset technical and functional design information is the basis for development of asset care strategies. By providing information about the parts and pieces that make up an asset, Failure mode analysis and proactive task development is simplified. Defining the expected information content and quality is vital toward ensuring an asset can be fully integrated into the asset management program as soon as possible. Vendor ability to comply with information requirements should be established, ideally as a condition of contract award. Content, format, delivery method, and quality expectations must be clearly communicated and agreed upon. I know I've said that twice now, but this is a vital point. This is where the wheels come off and the project disconnects from asset management and preservation of the lowest total cost of ownership. I hope you're seeing how all this stuff is intertwined. You have to have established the criteria for what is an asset and what information is necessary to construct a complete asset data record before you can tell the vendor what information must be provided to you. If that work isn't done, then you get what you get, and there'll be another expensive, time-consuming project around sorting out all the information and organizing it. It's simply a much better process to make sure information flows out of the project in an organized, formatted way, and the only way that happens is to make a requirement of it and enforce it. Design for reliability, DFR, is the means by which the optimal total cost of ownership, or TCO, is realized. It is the proactive assurance that assets are acquired in a way that recognizes the vast majority of total cost of ownership is spent after the asset is placed into operation. If there's issues with design, procurement, installation, or commissioning that aren't addressed when they occur, the opportunity to realize optimal TCO is lost, and the cost of operating the asset will be as much as 40% higher than necessary. Design for reliability should therefore be integrated into the asset acquisition project processes and verified during project stage gate reviews. When projects are being designed, there should be discussion and consensus around this topic. The more critical the project, the more attention should be paid to making sure the project is tracking on design for reliability. To ensure accurate results, asset end users and maintainers must be involved in DFR reviews and be part of the stage gate process. For critical systems, asset acquisition projects should include a technology review to ensure the best asset condition monitoring capabilities are realized during asset operation. These reviews should be formal, using some governance process to ensure that nothing is missed. Things you want to check for are things like maintainability, the ability to access and maintain the components of the asset for maintenance and monitoring. You want to have ingress and egress, the ability to rig the asset and its components, motors, agitator shafts, gearboxes, etc., in and out after the initial installation, including tie-off points designed for the equipment and the technicians accessing and maintaining it. You want to make sure you can clean the equipment, the ability to clean all the areas of the equipment and maintain the classification of the area in which it resides, including inside the equipment. Accessibility is a consideration, the ability to access the components of the asset for the purpose of production, sanitation, sampling, maintaining, monitoring, etc. Ergonomics, the ability to operate the asset with ergonomic layout considerations and minimized value mapping requirements. The visual factory, the application of 5S and total productive maintenance, autonomous maintenance concepts such as marked gauges, standards in colors, schemes, automation, physical layouts, and all that. It should be understood the project cannot proceed unless the DFR stage gates are satisfied. And even if the review becomes critical path, there can't be any shortcuts taken. This is necessary to change the tribal mindset and project practices by whatever degree necessary to realize that every degree of inaccuracy in these early stages is additive over the course of the project. It must be also made clear that it is much cheaper to make changes during the stage gate reviews rather than to make changes after the asset is turned over for operation. Think of DFR as the way accuracy is maintained over time. If you're pointing at something a foot away and you're off by 1 degree, you missed the target by 0.2 inches. Not bad, but after 100 yards, you're off by over 5 feet. Now it's noticeable. After a mile, the inaccuracy increases to 92 feet. That has impact. If you're pointing from San Francisco to LA, you've got a 6-mile error now, and you'd miss the moon by 4,200 miles. Trying to point at the nearest star, you missed it by 440 billion miles. DFR is just asking, are we still on course for optimal total cost of ownership every so often? Remember that the only part of the asset lifecycle where we can do things that actually prolong the time before the initial potential failure is the part before we put the asset into operation. The decisions we make before that point are the ones that set us up for success in arriving at our destination of optimized reliability. This results in a final design that promises the best combination of output, reliability, and lifecycle operating cost. DFR is applied with the goal of designing out failure modes rather than mitigating them. Involving stakeholders early in the process allows the maintenance, reliability, production, quality, and engineering team members to apply their experience and standards with specific manufacturers, OEMs, lubricants, on-condition monitoring techniques and instrumentation, automation setups, reliability specifications, standards, precision specifications, and all these other factors to influence the design of the asset. Sounds like these acquisition projects have a lot of decision points and information flow, doesn't it? Well, it really is a lot if it's done right. And if all that information isn't organized someplace, it's useless for the purposes of asset management. The repository for the asset information is called the turnover package. Turnover packages provide single point of contact reference materials for development of asset care strategies. Turnover packages should have a specific format that includes things like user and functional requirements, critical process parameters, required spares, technical drawings, technical manuals with recommended maintenance and warranty information, purchase prices. Information in the turnover package is typically provided by the vendor, again emphasizing how important it is for the structure and expected content to be communicated to the vendor before the start of the project. Turnover package information collection, organization, storage, and control processes should be established and enforced. There's often a ton of data generated over the course of a large acquisition project, and without firm control over its flow and format, turnover packages will not magically appear someday after the project is over. They're evergreen documents too. Turnover package update and revision processes should include communication of changes to asset owners and maintainers. Turnover package acceptance should be integrated into the asset acquisition project plan and execution as a stage gate for project closeout. No complete turnover package, no final payment, right? Well, we've completed the asset acquisition function, LC1, so let's summarize. Asset acquisition projects should recognize and honor asset management program processes. Good asset information content and quality is vital toward ensuring an asset can be fully integrated into the asset management program as soon as possible. Design for reliability is the means by which optimal total cost of ownership is realized. And turnover packages provide single point of contact reference materials for development of asset care strategies. This concludes the Asset Acquisition Process Descriptions presentation. Thank you for your participation.